Communism has been around for roughly a century now, and it has certainly been appealing to a wide variety of people in an even wider variety of places. But the real question is, why has communism been such a popular ideology among people around the world? To learn the answer to this compelling question, get ready for the 5 most appealing things about communism. Unlike capitalism, which presents the world in a dog-eat-dog fashion, with each person pitted against each other in order to make a profit, communism claims that cooperation and sharing, rather than competition, is the way to go. In such a hypothetical model of the world, people would no longer have to viciously compete against their neighbors in an effort to outscore them in the marketplace, and this would allow for not just more economic harmony, but more social harmony as well. The reality is, however, that such a model has been attempted, and it hasn't really panned out. Instead, history is littered with examples of eternally long bread lines, abuses of economic power on the part of a communist regime's intelligentsia, and far worse. It is a nice thought to think that we can all get along economically, share, and have that be the economic model of a society. But history has shown that as appealing as the thought might be, it just has never really worked out. Related to economic hope is the appeal of communism to be found in its alleged simplicity. The central premise of communism is that capitalist markets distort things by transferring wealth from the worker to the CEO when the worker is supposedly doing the lion's share of the work. Communism promises a world of economic simplicity in which all workers own the means of production and share on equal terms with each other. A planned economy could likewise be a simple matter where the government sets prices in a fair and equitable manner. But the truth is, none of this has ever worked out, or can work, because markets are far messier and more complex than anything a central planner can deal with, and the overly simplified stance on owners versus workers does not factor in the work that a business owner must engage in as well. We must all recall that the Soviet Union was eventually defeated, not by military prowess, but by the fact that its economic model simply did not work and could not cope with the complexity of the market. In the end, the Soviet Union's coffers were empty when it fell apart. Much of the rise of modern communist thought was a reaction to the atrocities committed during World War I and the military and political aggression that was on display throughout that conflict, and it was thought that communism can offer simple solutions to this in promoting harmony, cooperation, and understanding. Of course, nothing could be further from the truth, and the 20th century is littered with the corpses of millions of people who suffered under communist regimes. Far from peaceful, regimes such as those under the Bolsheviks, as well as Stalin, caused the deaths of millions by starvation, overwork, torture, and execution. To date, there have been no countries operating under a democratic capitalist model that have caused such wide-scale human destruction, despite occasional outbursts of political and military aggression. Beyond all of the points previously mentioned is its claim to universality. Across the globe, there have been multiple attempts to erect a communist regime or government on virtually every continent. The claims of communist doctrine appear to have universal appeal. But why? Communist doctrine breaks down the world into very simple problems of black and white. For example, the idea that merely by seizing the means of production, workers could transform society into something better than whatever might be present and is causing their misery. The truth is that the world is a very complex place, and universal claims are often accompanied by simple solutions that cannot take into account all the variables in the world. It is for this reason that we have yet to see a communist society with any degree of longevity. By far and without question, the most appealing thing about communism is its status as an earthly religion with its claims to paradise on earth. With the erosion of religion, and specifically Christianity, people have had a natural tendency to gravitate to systems of belief that promise them heaven on earth. The continual and renewed appeal of communism, despite stacks of corpses that arose from communist regimes that could likely reach the moon, stems from this unpleasant truth. Whenever an error was committed, whatever atrocity might have occurred, it was always the quote-unquote untrue version of communism. It is for this reason that we will likely always have to deal with people attached to communist ideals, regardless of whatever evidence can be brought against them, as attested to by the mass destruction caused by it during the 20th century. People just ignore it and preach on. For more top lists just like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to check out our other lists. And thanks for watching, and thanks for learning.